We're here today with Mona di Orio on Friday at Esxence in Milan, and we're here to speak to Mona about her latest project, 3 fragrances. So Mona, perhaps you'd like to tell us a bit about your latest baby.
Yes, we are going to introduce soon a kind of it's a new collection. We can call that like a new collection, and the name of its collection will be Les Nombres d'Or. I wanted to give my own interpretation of the best balance of the best musk, the balance of the best amber and the best leather. It's quite classical fragrances, but how I'm going to how I'm going to express my own musk and my own amber and my own leather. It's perfect proportion.
Excellent, and that's where the name comes from.
The golden number.
The golden number, and it's an architectural term.
It's a number from the architecture and also the proportion of the Michelangelo, the shape.
Yes, the man. So with the fragrances, if you could talk us through each of the 3 fragrances. First of all, with the amber and what we would smell and why you decided to create them the way that you've created them, how the smell dries down, what it begins with and what it finishes with, how it develops on your skin. If you could maybe give us a taste of the character of the fragrance for people that can't smell it yet.
Well, we begin with the musk. I wanted to give to create a musk sensual, but not too heavy and not too sticky. Sometimes musk could be really too sticky, and I wanted to give a kind of not transparent musk because we go too far in another direction, but just the right balance with a musk built all around the tongue cabin, with a little top note of violet and saffron, and of course the base note is musk because it's the heaviest molecule.
And the other 2 in there?
The amber, it begins with a little note of vetiver. It's quite earthy, and also the cedar wood, and a lot of balsam notes, because I love all the family of the, we call it les balsamiques, like baume du Pérou, baume de Tolu, benjoin. You know, it's the family of myrrh, frankincense. We are going to cut the bark of the trees, and the trees are going to cry, and we call it the tears of benjoin or the tears of Tolu, and it's a kind of resin, and it's a very round and very roasted smell, something very deep and very sensual.
And I've been lucky enough to smell a sneaky preview. They're quite different, although they have your characteristic signature in the fragrance. They're quite different. Have you made them in a different way? I mean, we were talking about them yesterday, and you described them more as a short novel than the whole book, a longer book.
Maybe they are more reachable because the semi maybe is easier, but the formula is exactly the same when we speak about the quality of the raw materials and also the complexity of the formula. It's not because they are more easily, we can identify much more easily, that they are not complex, because I want to keep my signature, and I want to continue to use some beautiful raw materials, like for the last one, the leather, for example.
When it comes to finding raw materials, do you have difficulty because of certain legislations? Do you find that your creativity has to go down different avenues sometimes to...
Yes, of course I have to pay attention to the product who are totally forbidden, or also to the product where there's some restriction. So I can't, there's a certain level. I have to respect the legislation, of course. But I'm really lucky because I have a person who is going to propose me each month the best natural product. So I have a kind of big library with all the best raw materials.
Now there are millions of people all over the internet that want to see a sneak peek into the library with all the raw materials. Do you work alone when you're creating the fragrances? Are you in, I mean, lots of people will imagine that you're in this huge laboratory with lots of treats on the shelf to pick from. How do you begin to develop a fragrance?
First, it's very mental, you know. For example, when I decided to create the leather. I wanted to create a beautiful cuir de Russie. So before I'm going to begin to blend the different components, first is a mental process. I'm going really to think deeply and carefully, and it takes a long time. And during this moment, I'm going to imagine in my brain the shape of the formula. So first I'm going to do, it's a mental process, and during this time I'm going to search which ingredient I'm going to introduce with, so I'm going to define the top note and the heart note and the base note. And I'm going to think how they are going to be connected to each other, because it's really like an harmony. We are going to begin very slow. The beginning is always very sparkling and very bright, and after it's going to be really smooth, and at the end it's really sensual, and the base note, they are always animal and really round. So you have to think to all the development of the perfume, because it has to be like an harmony. It must be really, it's like a big wave, it's something smooth. It's not like that.
Yes, it has to be linear.
You have to find the perfect harmony, how the products are going to blend together, and because there is a kind of interaction, and sometimes you can really, they can be mute. Some product, when you put one product on another product, suddenly you are going to, how to explain, suppress. It's not automatically that you are going to blend some product and they are going to say something. It's more complicated than we could imagine.
Yes, I can appreciate that. With your, when you put these imaginings together and you start to create a fragrance, and then you start to take the materials and you start to make a physical fragrance, are you ever very surprised and you think, actually this is nothing like I imagined now that I've combined these
Well,
things?
it happens less and less because I get older. At the beginning, when you're young, you do some experiences, so sometimes you have huge surprises because you didn't expect this result. But when you get more mature, you can really think in advance. It's not always what you think, but almost you can really, if you think really deeply and quite a long time, you are really, when you smell, you are not so surprised.
And finally, have there been any real highlights for you this weekend? What have you particularly enjoyed about this last couple of days at Esxence? What's been the best thing?
In Milano?
In Milan.
Well, for me it was a real pleasure it's always a real pleasure to discover my babies and to try them on different skins. It's quite magical because I try first the perfume on my skin and after on your own skin, but after we are all going to react differently, and for me it's always a surprise when you are going to that when your skin is going to be blended with my perfume, you are going to create your personal fragrance, and I'm always very surprised to smell my fragrance but in a different way on different skin's person.
Well, there will be lots of people who will be smelling your fragrance on their skin very soon, and we'll cover the full story on Basenotes when the fragrances are available. Thank you very much, Mona.